We're recording.
Well.
Cool. So, Mayank and I have decided to film a podcast for literally no reason other than we were bored. So, you're going to listen to us.
And because we ran into each other in Newbury.
That's true.
And so I feel like it was a sign.
It was a sign.
Yeah.
Also, we both have way too much time on our hands.
True.
And so I feel like this is just the natural course of how we're going to be yapping, is that we now need to record it and film it and edit it. Does it just make sense?
Yeah.
So.
Oh wow, I see you're arranging.
Yeah. I'm actually doing a really good job. Like, this looks so pretty right now.
Dude, yeah.
Let me turn it.
But luckily, I don't know if everything's gonna fit.
I think so. How do you say that?
Okay, I don't know. it just seems like a lot. No?
No, I think it's gonna be fine. I believe.
Okay.
So, Mayank is 28. He's very old. I am 23, about to be 24. And
Baby.
so, I thought it'd be fun if we just have a conversation about, like, life lessons that we've learned. Because this has been my favorite thing to ask people lately, is just, like, what's your favorite life lesson that you've learned in the past couple of years?
Wow, great start of the podcast.
Me not being able to speak at all.
Life lesson. I feel like, for me personally, I think I was talking to my dad about this as well.
Your dad is so fine.
Bro, so you know what's funny? Like my friend, she texted me saying that she sent me some reel and she's like, "Oh, I hope I run into your dad soon." And I'm like, "Bro, what do you mean?"
Bro, you're gonna have to pull up a fucking photo of your dad.
No, we're not pimping on my dad on this podcast. But anyway, I was speaking to him, and I feel like one thing, and I wish I was more of this in terms of like, I wish I was more brave, or like I had more courage in like certain situations when I approach them.
Yeah.
It can be the smallest thing,
Yeah.
you know.
No,
It doesn't have to be in a huge or like in a huge way or like a huge display of bravery.
Like, no, like Daredevil stuff.
Yeah,
Just,
it can be like very small moments, but sometimes I catch myself and I'm like, hey, maybe I could have done more, you know? I could have just done a little bit more. I could have been, like you said, like you were saying, I want to be more bold.
Yeah.
I feel the same way in terms of like, I wish I would have said this to somebody when I felt it, or like, I think it would just been nice for them to know that's what I thought about them.
Yeah.
It could be things like that, you know?
I think that, so when I said that I wanted to be more bold, it's because I've just realized that I have a pattern of like behavior that I've started to fall into that's much more comfortable. And I used to be a really shy kid. Like, I think nowadays I'm definitely much more of an extrovert. And people typically view me as an extrovert as well. But when I was a kid, like, gosh, I was shy. Like, I remember I took archery lessons, and I literally, like, I wouldn't talk the whole hour. Like, straight up to anyone there, I just wouldn't talk because I was so nervous. Or just, like, so embarrassed. I don't know what it was. But I feel like I've, like, found myself kind of creeping back into those behaviors, like, that are, like, comfortable, where, like, I just won't talk, or, I don't know. It's, like, a feeling of being timid that I just don't love.
Wait, so when you say you don't talk, like, do you mean in like social situations, or like do you mean on like if you're meeting a new person, or? No, like when I think that's the distinction, is that when it's like a set social situation where there's like a dialogue or there's like an expectation that you're going to talk, I'm fine. But it's those moments where it's like unexpected, or like you don't have to, like talking to your seatmate on the airplane. Yeah, like exactly, those types of situations. Like, yeah, I'm so much more timid. Yeah, and I actually was thinking about this the other day too, because while we were in Amsterdam, Evan has this habit of like any time we're like out at a bar, he like tries to befriend the bartender, and it would drive me crazy for a while. But I don't know why, because every time we're out, like
the bartender ends up really loving to like have a conversation with people.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was more so of a thought of like, once he left and I was with my sister and I went back to the same bar that we were at, I remember thinking like, gosh, I wish Evan was here because he would befriend this bartender. And I just think that I have this thing in me where I feel like I'm being socially considerate, but it's holding me back from being like bold. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I feel the same way in terms of like, I'm like, am I bothering this person if I say something?
Yeah.
But I feel like, you know, like you said, like people like Evan, like when they do make a conversation, the other person will respond and they will engage with you. Exactly. But I even though I know this, I find myself holding myself back in situations like that.
Because you don't want to be perceived as the weirdo, you know? You don't want to be perceived as like, who is this girl? Who is this dude? Like, trying to strike up a conversation.
Yeah.
And like, honestly, like, I've like watched Evan have awkward moments where it's just like, the person does not want to engage. But I just think it's so interesting that like, I hold myself back from like even trying to engage, you know?
Yeah.
So I feel like a goal that I want to set for myself, just in general, is to like be a little bit more open to like having those moments where I'm like engaging with other people in like a non-scripted way.
Yeah. Or just being able to like put yourself in those situations and not feeling like awkward about it.
Yeah, because I feel like being like that type of person also opens yourself up to like so many opportunities too. And like, not that, like, obviously I'm not trying to like scour for opportunities, but it's also just something where I'm like, you know, I think that there's like a certain level of anxiety that comes with like being a little bit more timid, and I think that I've been starting to feel that a little bit more lately.
You know, like, I was having a conversation with my friend, and it just all ties in, you know, how it's harder to make friends organically now.
Yeah.
Literally, we were fucking Bumblebee FF.
Yeah.
Indirectly, Bumblebee FF. Yeah, anyway.
Okay, but shout out Bumblebee FF because I've met.
We're here. Yeah, because of Bumblebee FF.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean, right? So it ties into things like, okay, it's hard to make friends organically. It's hard to meet partners. Oh, that looks lovely.
Sorry, I just.
No, that looks great. Yeah.
Wow.
I was watching you do it.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's difficult to meet partners like organically, and I feel like it's because I mean, of course, it's harder now than it has ever been before. But I feel like it's because like we're afraid to put ourselves in that situation because we're always like, oh, we use social media or you know, these platforms as a crutch.
Yeah.
As opposed to using them as
like actual ways of
like
with people.
Instead of using them as an accessory, we use them as like a crutch, right? And I feel like that has instilled this like really deep sense of like anxiety of just like approaching people, even when it's not that serious, right? Like you just want to say something nice to somebody or like you notice something and you're
that's
like,
actually
hey.
such a good point. I've never actually thought about how like social media kind of like occludes me from having those connections in real life, like organically, just like, because honestly, if I think about it, every interaction I've ever had with a stranger where they've like given me a compliment on my outfit or just like tried to like start a conversation with me or like tried to like befriend me in real life, like I've loved that. Like it's just been like, I just think that that's really cool to like have that skill to be able to do that. But I think that I'm just so wrapped up in like how I like think that other people will perceive me that it's almost like I'm holding myself back from that.
Yeah. And like I feel like it at the end of the day, I feel like it shouldn't matter how people perceive you, but deep down
it matters.
Yeah. But I'm like, why does it matter to me, dude?
It's because we're social animals. I think it just all kind of falls back to like, in the past, humans needed other humans to be able to like have safety and shelter and like hunt and gather together.
But I feel like isn't it the same way even now?
Like I think I could survive. Like I wouldn't be mentally well. But
you'd be okay without having a community.
Well, obviously, like mentally, no. But like, I think that yes, you could realistically survive without having a community. I think a lot of people do. To be completely honest, I think like a lot more people than we probably imagine. Like, I think that a lot of men don't have community, like a lot of like older straight men, because they don't have anywhere that they like, I don't know, like I feel like this is a completely different topic, but this is also something that fascinates me, is that a lot of men just don't have close friends. And I just...
Or they do, but like their friendship isn't as
deep or profoundly. Like you don't communicate your emotions to them. And I think that's... like, that just sounds so awful. Like, I can't fathom not having a friend to go to if I, like, have some stressful situation in my life. That's also something that I've realized recently, actually, is, like, how much I need community and, like, I said this before, but, like, convenient friends where you could just sit around together and, like, be scrolling together or something, and it's still fun.
But, I like, okay, but with those men, I feel like even though they don't have like a deep profound friendship, they somehow in their own way like find ways to go around that, in terms of like, oh, they'll be like, let's go out, their version of like bonding, even though it might be something really shallow, like watching a game together, or like, you know, I don't know, getting drinks together, like maybe it works for them. But I know what you mean. I agree with you 100%. And also like the whole, you know, you said you could do fine without a community. I've also thought about this, and I'm like, that's the whole, you know, the independence, or what's the word I'm looking for, the individualism of everybody. I feel like that's a very Western like concept, in terms of like in the East, like people gravitate towards community, which like back at home I was like, oh no, I want to be my own person. I want to be individualistic. But over here, like, I find people struggling to find community, where back at home I was struggling to find individualism and myself. So I don't know. Wait,
I think that's okay. That just reminds me of like how last year when I lived in Indiana, I went to this climbing gym, like literally like every day. And it was so interesting because it wasn't just a climbing gym. Like, they had events going on, and like it was kind of just like a third place for people to go to, where I would go for my workouts, but they had a great cafe upstairs. They had like co-working spaces, and like I would just go to like hang out with people. And it's so interesting because I feel like I don't have although my life in Boston is very full and I really enjoy like all of the events that go on, I don't have that third place anymore. And I really mourned that loss, because it was, I don't know, it's just like you don't realize how important having another space to go to is, and like having regular interaction with like other friends is, until you lose it, you know?
Regular interactions with people that you share a common ground with, especially, I would say.
It's just kind of unmatched. And I feel like here, I've noticed that when I'm hanging out with people, aside from today when I ran into people, I genuinely, like, I have to, like, go out and text people, or, like, they have to go out and text people. It's not something where it's just, like, I, like, need to go to Target, you want to come with me? Yeah. And I think that's also, like, kind of because a lot of people don't have cars here, and it's, like, it's walkable, but, like, the T will take, like, 30 minutes to get to you, so it is kind of a hassle to get anywhere. But I've just noticed that it's a little bit more difficult for me in terms of when I lived in Indiana. I saw, like, my best friend Claire literally every day. Like, literally, like, not a single day went by when I wasn't hitting her up to be like, hey, you want to go to Costco together or something? And I just think it's been really different in a worse way for me in Boston.
Okay, that comes to, like, I have a question in terms of, like, do you think that's just a byproduct of becoming an adult, though?
No, and I refuse to see it that way too. Okay. Because I mean, I was an adult last year, you know, like I had fully graduated from college, was working my first job. Like, I was an adult. She has a kid too, so like yes, yes, I was adult.
Yeah.
I just think that I don't know. Maybe I just need to make a friend that lives closer. You need to move closer. Ashley needs to move closer.
Dude. Loki, like I don't even live that far away from you, but it
yeah,
just takes,
it's still harder.
Yeah, it just takes time to get.
I think it's the convenience aspect, because I lived 17 minutes away from Claire, but I would drive, so it was like I had to walk to my parking garage, which took like 5 minutes, but like, let's be real, like it was much easier to get to her because I had a car. And I think that's the aspect of it.
I think the time I've had like consistent, convenient friends, as you said, was when I was growing up, and I had like my closest friends were all my neighbors, and they were just like around, you know. It's like, oh, what do you want to do? They're like, I don't know, do you want to come over? And be like, sure. Like, there's no plan, you're just like in each other's like space.
I have
like,
that at home too.
And it's
nice.
Just comfortable. I have like a really close friend of mine who moved away from Boston, but he stays pretty like close by-ish. But I feel like I miss that, you know, with my friends, where it's just like, oh, you're here, but like you're not really like here, and
like it's just time that you're not spending alone. Like it's almost as if you're alone in that comfort aspect, but you could be doing anything. Like you could just be like lying on the couch, like watching TV or something. And I feel like that's something where, again, like I refuse to believe that it's like because I'm an adult. I genuinely think that it's almost a byproduct of being in a city rather. Because weirdly enough, I think that the Midwest gets community like very strongly. And then at home, when you're with home friends, I typically have a car, and so it's like easier to get like to them. But I don't know, it's just like being clustered together, or like having friends that are nearby in a convenient manner, I think is just really healthy. Like it is. Yeah, it just makes you feel much more fulfilled in your life.
Maybe it is just the city. I don't know.
I think it is.
Yeah, because I feel like even whenever I lived in like a suburby situation is when I realized that it was easier to have like a bigger sense of community, or like just have each other, like your friends in your space, and things like that. So I don't know,
you know, something that I think would be a great business idea, and that I want other people to make businesses out of, is like make third places, like make places like that climbing gym that have like events or like just hangout spaces, where you can literally just go and like sit and not feel bad about taking up space and like hang out with your friends.
I think Cambridge has a place like this.
Really?
My friend who I was talking about, he told me like him and his wife, I think it's called the Foundry.
You're so old. Sorry.
Bro, listen, okay, what do you want me to do? This is another reason why I was like, is it because we're adults? Because like, you know, now he's like married, he doesn't have as much time.
Okay.
You know, and
you're in a different life stage than me. Like you're a little bit.
But I'm saying
some years.
Anyway, but that's what I mean. I feel like even though it's not the same, and like I don't think it can be the same after a certain point.
Well, I feel like once you have kids, I would say like maybe not married, but like once you have kids, I think your priorities kind of shift. Although Claire also had a kid. So tell me what's up with that. Why was it still easy with Claire? I don't know. I think that we just had like a once in a lifetime type of connection. Or like twice in a lifetime, because my man Jeremy. But I don't know. I think I just miss that, like having community. And I think that's one of like my huge life lessons from my early 20s is I need that. I need that to be happy. I need that to just like continue to exist in like a really good place in my life. And I think I kind of have that in Boston, where like I love our friends and I love going out with you guys, but at the same time it's not really convenient. Like there's always plans being made, you know? There needs
to be like concrete. Like you'll text me, are you free on Monday at 3:45 p.m.? I'll be like, that's so specific. Like, why are you so specific? And you're just like, which I appreciate though, because now I have a timeline.
That's true.
Yeah, I really appreciate that, because it just like it clicks in my brain. I'm I have a schedule.
Usually I have like a specific event in mind too, so like that's usually why.
No, it's just funny, like the day, the exact time.
I'm usually not like that. But Okay, honestly though, I do really appreciate when people do that to me. Like they're like, "Are you free at this time specifically?" Because I am really bad at knowing how much time things are going to take, and so it just helps when I have the specific time in mind, so that I could like try at least to plan around that time.
Another important life lesson.
Yeah.
Setting boundaries with your friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like in my late 20s, maybe like at the end of college, I think, I just wasn't very good at like determining even who I wanted to be friends with. And I think that started in high school, where I don't know, I didn't have a great group of friends in high school. Like I ended up kind of just having no friends at the end of high school too.
As one does.
Yeah, as one does. I feel like senior year comes around and you're just like, get me out of here. But in college it was interesting because I feel like you still have friends of convenience, which is different from convenient friendships that I mentioned earlier. But friends of convenience where like you don't necessarily have things in common with these people, but like because they're in your friend group, you kind of have to be friends with them. But as an adult, you have more like freedom of choice with like who you see. But I think that as an adult, I've realized that I spent too much time like being really nice to people to get them to be my friends without consideration of whether I wanted to be their friend. Yeah.
I think I realized that when I was about your age.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
No, because I remember like genuinely, after I graduated from undergrad, which again I told you I didn't really have a good time. I was like, I wasn't surrounded, and all my friends were moving away. I wasn't surrounded by people that I would call like I was close to, and I was like, okay, I need to go out of my way to make new friends now. So it turned into like this point where I was just trying to make friends with everybody and anybody, and my my mental state was just like.
Camera died, so we're just gonna stop to this. We'll stop yapping in a second. Okay, continue though.
As I was saying, I wasn't surrounded by a lot of close friends, and I was trying to make friends with anybody and everybody, but I realized that my social battery was like on the verge of like dead.
Really?
Because I was like, okay, I'm trying to meet everybody and do all these things and maintain all these friendships, and I'm like, why am I trying to maintain these friendships that a lot of them like didn't really mean much to me, but it was just, again, it was a friendship of convenience. So I just had to learn how to maybe let that go and realize, who I really wanted to spend time with, and friends that would respect my boundaries. Like I said, like I'm a terrible texter, but I genuinely like and I enjoy spending time with people. It's just like but that's one of my boundaries. Like I'm not gonna like text you, but if I will show up for you, like I'm not gonna always like be like replying to you, but if you need something, like I'm there in a situation.
And I think that's like a low-key a real one, It's like, I don't necessarily need you to be texting me 24/7, but like, I want you to show up for me when it matters.
So, and like working with other people's boundaries as well. So,
I think something that I learned was just, it wasn't necessarily my social battery that was dying out. It was the anxiety that I would feel over like being discontent with certain things that like my friends would do. Like boundaries that I had in terms of like, what I want out of a friendship. And I think that I really lucked out because I found some really good friends like in the past couple of years of my life, I guess. But I think that I just like have realized like what boundaries I have for I keep saying boundaries, but I feel like it's not really boundaries, but like
what you expect from friendship.
Well, like expectations that I have.
Which is valid.
And it's not to say that like the people that I'm like not friends with anymore and no longer friends with anymore are bad people in any way. It's genuinely just that like I have certain things that I need out of friendships, and if you can't meet those needs, like maybe we're just not compatible as friends. And I think that's something that I had to learn, and just brought me a lot of anxiety for a while. And I think that nowadays, like Also, something else I learned is Claire was telling me about this, and she was just like, you overanalyze every relationship that you have. Like, so bad. And
I know this.
I know. It's bad. Yeah. Nowadays, I think that I've done a much better job at chilling a little bit. But I used to be really, let me not say used to be, because I'm still actively working on this, but I noticed that I have a pattern of behavior where I think a little bit too hard about people in my life. You know what I mean? And so I'm just working on like establishing clear like criteria, I guess, of what I want from friends, but then also working on not like spiraling and like freaking out about like certain things that friends do, you know, because it's never that deep, you know, like people just be doing things.
Yeah. And I feel like I think it should, for me, a good indicator is, I used to do the same thing. For me, it's like, oh, how am I feeling in this situation? Or how does my friendship towards somebody feel? Rather than, they did this? Or should I, like, what do I, like, infer from this? Because I would find myself doing the exact same thing. And I'm just like, okay, I need to chill out. Yeah. I just need my relation to you, like, how am I feeling? Do I feel good? Yeah. Do I feel bad?
If I feel good. Like,
do I feel comfortable? Yeah. Am I excited to be around you? Are you draining me? Yeah. Those are the only indicators that you need.
See, okay, I've been getting a lot better at just like having those indicators, and I think that it's just been so helpful in me like knowing what I want, really. And I think that it's a much less draining, like personally draining way to evaluate what relationships you have with people, because I also don't like appreciate when people are very much so like loose with their relationships, where they like aren't really thinking about like whether or not they want to be friends with you, because honestly I think that like a little bit of that is very healthy in every relationship. Like if you're not actively choosing to be someone's friend, I feel like you probably shouldn't be friends.
Like I feel like, don't get me wrong, like I feel like you need to put an effort into friendship 100%.
Otherwise, it's kind of just like you're just kind of friends with this person because you know them, you know? So that's been something that I've been actively working on and actively trying to get better at. I think that there are like a couple of traits in myself as well as a friend that I didn't really love. I think that those are also things that like I just need to like reflect on and maybe think about whether or not like traits that I see reflected in other people that I didn't like are things that I can also see in myself.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty good friend, though. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a pretty good friend.
Yeah, Sing's a good friend.
Thank you.
I can vouch.
So is man. Even though he's 28.
What? What was that? What? No.
He's old. What if we just ended the episode on that? That being said, we're like 6 minutes into this phone video, and I don't know if it's gonna send if it's longer than 6 minutes. So this might have to be the end, but. Cool. This was a good first podcast episode, I think. Yeah. I think I'm going to call it 23 and 28.
23? Why?
Yeah, because I think that's actually really cute.
23? Actually...
Because we're in slightly different life stages.
Yeah.
I don't know. You just graduated from school. He was fully 28 walking around with a backpack. It was crazy.
Listen, I need my backpack because it holds everything. I wouldn't have had my... Okay, listen, it rains. I need my umbrella. I need to bring my book.
Okay, whatever.
I need my camera.
Anyways, I think it'd be cute to name it 23 and 28 because I think that those are like pretty significant different life stages.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye.
Peace.